Oh, cheapers.
Good morning and welcome to our third of 3 World Book Day events. My name is Ben from our Bookshop in Tring. I'm absolutely honoured to be joined by these two lovely chaps. We've been chatting for a few minutes before you all joined us, and the pair of them are bonkers, quite frankly. So it's going to be a very enjoyable 45 minutes. Let me just say we have the book available in our bookshop. Many of you have been getting hold of it. It also includes a signed Derek Landy bit, and every book that's purchased gets one of these free lovely little badges. Derek, did you make the badges?
Yes. Yes.
They're
all night.
All night. You're working.
I drew each one of those pictures individually.
Fantastic. So, but I'll reappear at the end and do a last little sales pitch for those. But without further ado, can I hand over to David O'Callaghan, who is a children's book consultant?
Messer, in other words. Now, right, we are live. Hello, Derek. How are you?
I'm fine. For those who don't know, this is my cat groomer. She is one of 5 cats that we have here and a dog, but she's the only one who lives in my office.
I was going to say, she's the only one who likes to Zoom as well.
Yes. Oh, she loves to Zoom. She loves it.
Hello, big hello to everybody that's out there, wherever there is. Loads of schools, very exciting, loads of classes. And happy World Book Day, Derek.
Thank you, Dave.
Books are magic. Read books. Stay in school. I would like to introduce Derek Landy. I'm sure you all don't know who he is. He's just sitting there in his room full of toys and books. The infamous winged vigilante that he is. Best-selling author of 14 Skulduggery books, 3 spin-offs, 3 young adult books, 5 million copies sold worldwide, probably 6 this day. 36 languages he can't speak, but he is printing. And always busy, so busy that it's really exciting here because this is the end. I feel like, you know, we've been building to this, Derek, for all of these years of heading towards the last book in the Skulduggery series. Welcome to this little Zoom party. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Callaghan. Honored to be here.
So I have a question. So
what? You didn't
I know. It wasn't in the memo. I have questions.
For God's sake.
So Skulduggery, right? If you're walking into a publisher now compared to when you back in the day when you probably were on a bike, cycled into with a pouch, back in the day. If you were pitching to a publisher now, the idea of Skulduggery, how would you do it, and what would you pitch? Like, I in my head, I can just see TikTok, Derek, but that's probably the wrong way to go. But how would you pitch the idea of Skulduggery now if it never existed before? What is it?
Well, I mean, back then, back in 2005, when the first book was published in 2007, but back in 2005 when we actually sold it to the publisher, we went in and myself and my agent, and we basically said, you know, this is kind of like, it's got a kind of a Doctor Who vibe. It's got a kind, and they said it's got a kind of a Ghostbusters vibe. But I always saw the Skulduggery books as horror. The publishers, especially back then, they were keen to stress the fantasy and the science fiction elements, because that's a lot safer, because parents and teachers much prefer talking about fantasy and science fiction as opposed to horror, because horror is looked at as something possibly dangerous, or that could, you know, no one wants to make a student or a child have nightmares, apart from me.
Let's go say.
So back then I always saw it as horror. And so if we were to pitch it now, I don't think that would change. I would still approach it like, okay, this has elements of science fiction and fantasy and adventure, and obviously it's crime and it's comedy, but I think at its heart, because it deals with a dead man and it deals with monsters and, you know, all of this stuff, and there are so many elements to it that come from a love of horror movies and horror books and horror comics, that yeah, I would actually these days focus more on the horror if I were to relaunch it at book one. Yeah.
Very good. I'm going to attempt to share the screen. No, I won't.
Technology.
No. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah. What's happening?
Oh, cool.
Just we'll jump in and out of this. Just the graphics are too good not to use. That's my thought. So yeah, just it's like, look at this. We are. My God, man, you've been busy, and it's like it has been a journey, an amazing journey. And as you see, we've Until the End is in there, and we'll get on to that because this series has just, I suppose, taken up a large chunk of your life, my friend.
Yeah, it really has.
But in that life, who was Derek before? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Ah, God,
oh
there
my God.
he is now. Living proof that reading when you're small can, tiny.
And look, I was reading Oliver Twist. You see,
Oliver Twist. I love. So this young lad is reading Oliver Twists, and he's reading all sorts of books. At what point, like, did the writing start, as opposed to you deciding this is what you want to be? When did you start? Did you start writing around it, or were you just like books when you were younger, and then found out that you could actually make a living?
I was always reading. You know, I was. I mean, look at me there reading Dickens. I mean, you know, how intellectual. You know.
I'm disappointed.
I'm just
it's not Crime and Punishment. I thought it'd be Crime and Punishment.
I'm like astonished that the book is the right way up, to be honest. No, but I was always reading, but in primary school, you know, when you get asked for homework to write a short story of whatever you want, I was always surprised that none of my friends were as happy about this as I was. So I realized maybe the thing that separated me from everyone else was that I loved writing these little stories, and that is literally how it started. That is how it occurred to me that I might be different from everyone else. So yeah, and then it was because it wasn't just Dickens, you know, it was Spider-Man and 2000 AD and Marvel and DC and it was comics. So it all just kind of squished around in my brain for, you know, when I was this age, and it just got worse as I got older. That's awesome.
So then, as you got older, you were writing away, and I'm sure you had some absolute cracker books written that are under a bed somewhere to this day, and maybe will get released in a future date. When did you discover that, or decide that actually I need to take this seriously, and this could be something that I could do as an actual job, if you want to call it that, which it is, but at what point does that happen?
That happens when you mess up everything else. I was not the best student in school. I could never focus on anything that I didn't absolutely love. Now, I did love English and arts, so I was always writing and drawing, but I've got a very short attention span, and or I did, for the stuff that didn't really interest me. So I didn't do that well in school, because I didn't focus or study or like do any work. But I did go to art college, and I got kicked out of art college. And then I spent 10 years on the family farm. But it was when I got kicked out of art college, and I said, okay, I've messed up school, I've messed up college, I've messed up the art thing. The only thing I have left is writing. That's the only thing I haven't yet messed up, and the only thing that I'm probably good enough to stand out from the crowd. So it was when I was kicked out of college, it was when I was 20, that I said, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. So yeah. So that's when it started.
And so began the journey of Derek Landy.
Jeepers.
It's kind of been epic along the way. Watching the rise of Skulduggery as a if it was a movie, obviously it'd be a franchise. It's just been fascinating to watch. And we're coming till 14th of April. It's all about to kick off.
Yeah.
I know, it's just, we will come back to this, because as much as you can't talk about it, we are going to talk about it. But what I want to ask you about is the villains, and the world you operate in. I love villains. I've always had a thing for villains. When it comes to Disney villains, eventually Disney copped on that people actually like the villains as much as they like the everybody else. What is it about the villains that draws you to them? Are you as obsessed with them as I am, I suppose? And what makes a good villain for you?
One of the questions I'm sometimes asked is, who is your least favorite character? And that kind of that doesn't really work into the equation, because I don't have a least favorite character, because I'm the writer. If I had a character I didn't enjoy, then I wouldn't actually write them. And villains fall into that category, as in, if you write them purely as villains, then they're going to kind of wither and die. So even when I've tried to come up with a stone cold archetypal kind of villain, you know, that's so evil, that the kind you see in movies. I tried in the very first book. I had, the villain is a man called Serpine, and I wanted him to be stone cold evil. And as I was writing him, he developed a sense of humor, and that was not in my plan. I didn't want him to be, you know, a little bit sarcastic and a little bit funny. I wanted him to be evil, but that's what happened. So again and again, I will start out with an idea about who this villain ought to be, and then they will change, because they go, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like that, but I also have a softer side. I like kittens. You know, I like long strolls in meadows. So they're never what I think they're going to be.
Yeah.
But that's equally applied to all characters, because I mean, there's so many, especially like side characters and side villains, that I start out in the second book. I introduced Scapegrace and Billy Ray, and neither of which were meant to last more than that book. Scapegrace in particular only had 2 chapters, and then he just kept on coming back. And Billy Ray Sanguine, he kept on coming back, and he started to evolve, and they all start to evolve. And the lovely thing about writing a long running series over a long time is that you find out more about the characters. They reveal more about themselves as they go. So suddenly I was writing Billy Ray Sanguine from the point of view as, maybe he's not so bad. Yes, he's a killer, but maybe he's not so bad. Maybe he has his redeeming qualities. Maybe actually his story in this series is a story of redemption. How does a hitman slowly become an anti-hero and slowly become a hero? But that's the joy of writing. The writer thinks they have a plan, and then it realizes, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, it is that kind of
So
thing of
it's,
they like when the camera, or so to speak, the writing isn't on them. What are they doing? Are they having a cup of tea?
yeah,
It's like any movie or book that you read. You're kind of going, what are they at? And
yeah,
that's where you kind of you humanize them. But then, yeah, we're only
yeah. In screenwriting, in movies, we call that an off-screen life. So you don't really have to play into it too much, but as long as the audience gets the impression that when the camera cuts away from the bad guy and back to the main focus of the hero, the bad guy is still doing stuff. You know, the plot, his story is still meandering along. So it's the off-screen life which kind of infects everything you write. And as long as you do it right, as long as you do it properly, and you approach the characters in the right way, which for any writer out there in the audience, if you want to be a writer, you want to get to the stage where your characters reveal things about themselves to you, and also they just have a life outside of the plot. So yeah.
You talked about characters outstaying their welcome, like right? You're here for 2 chapters, and 4 books later, you're like, go away, get out of my head. Are there people like either villains or heroes or anti-heroes who didn't make it, and you still regret? How why did I do that?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I have, I think, unfairly garnered a reputation as someone who murders your favorite character. I think that's really unfair. I don't do it with every favorite character. But yeah, so I've killed plenty of characters. I've killed plenty of really useful characters. Because the only reason to kill a character, well, no, you'll have plenty of reasons to kill for the plot, to kill off certain characters, but the only time it's effective is right when they're needed the most, either in terms of plot or in terms of the reader engagement. So the reader finally gets to love this character, and I take the character away. My mother, I always talk about this. It was in the middle of phase one, so maybe about around book 4 or 5, and my mother was talking about one of her favorite characters. He said, he's my favorite, and he's my favorite because I know whenever he's on the page, nothing bad will happen, because my mother, she loves the books, obviously because she has to, but she's not too fond of horror, of violence, of trauma, or all the good stuff, you know. She likes the quiet moments where the characters sit and they talk and they evolve, and it's all clever and it's well written and nice and gentle, which is, the moments are there, they're just few and far between. But she liked this particular character, and I won't say the character's name, but she liked him because the things, the story slowed down whenever he was here. It became a lot more gentle, and she said he's my favorite character because I know nothing bad will happen whenever he's on the page. And the moment she said that, and we were standing in the kitchen in my parents' house, and I was standing, and I remember the moment she said this, a voice in my head said, yeah, he's gonna die. So the very next book he died, and he was really useful. Like he was, not only did he provide a hugely important service to the storyline, but he also served as a kind of a moral compass to the other characters. You know, Skulduggery, he brought Valkyrie in when she was 12, and he's like 400 and whatever, and he plunged her into a world of death and violence, and where she regularly went up against adults and she got knocked about the place because it's a grown-up and he's punching you. So that's horrible. But it's adventure and it's fantasy, and so, you know, the reader is quite prepared to, yeah, that's oh, it's awful, but it's fine. This character was the only character who said, that's not right, that's not responsible, you shouldn't be doing this, she shouldn't be here, she should be in school with people her own age, which is all very right and very obvious, but he was the only one saying that, so he was the moral compass. And then I killed him. So again and again, I am forced to kill characters who do something very worthwhile for the books.
Oh dear. I think your cat was eating your mic there, by the way. There was some
Oh,
weird.
dear Lord.
It was like, I was like, what is happening? Okay, we're going to take a slight detour to what's known as the lightning rounds.
Nice.
This is my favorite round because Eric. See, even Eric has no idea. Derek has no idea what's coming questions, and it's just complete random stuff. And the best thing is, today's lightning round is a multiverse special. So it's, the multiverse exists. There's Earth 1 to Earth 900 million, whatever, right?
Nice.
So question 1 in the multiverse.
Can I just say, whenever, to all the people watching, whenever we have done the lightning rounds, and the point of the lightning round is unexpected questions, and I have to answer immediately, and I rarely answer immediately.
Yeah, you rarely, but it's kind of anti-lightning round. Okay, you are allowed to travel through the multiverse undetected, right?
Okay.
Which 3 Derek Landys do you want to visit, and why? What have they achieved in these other worlds?
Oh, okay. I want to visit the Derek Landy who never got the idea for Skulduggery Pleasant. I want to see how his life continued. That would be interesting. I always think about that because Skulduggery popped into my head fully formed, and suddenly I was writing a book and my life completely changed. But what if that never had happened? Would I still be working part-time on the family farm? Would I have focused more on movies? Would I be like would I be in Hollywood right now as opposed to here, or would I just be still struggling? That's fascinating. I also would like to visit, oh God. Okay, I'd like to visit the Derek who made all the right choices, who didn't make a wrong choice ever, and see how his life had turned out. And the third one I would like to visit is the evil Derek, the one with the goatee
and eyeliner.
Yeah, the eyeliner, and who is just the evil version of me in an evil alternate world. I love those worlds.
Emo Derek, I love it. I love it. Right, question 2. Many famous books in this world were written by you, obviously, in the other worlds. Okay. So which are your favorites? Your favorite 3 of those books?
Oh, wow. Okay. So essentially, what books would I have loved to write?
Yes. And actually, is there anything your version changed? There you go.
Okay, I would, just for sheer cultural impact, the Lord of the Rings.
Cool.
But I would have put in a lot more ninjas. a lot more ninjas. I would have taken out all the songs. Really focused on the really amped up the violence. I think that's what the readers back in those days would have wanted. The next book I would have written, jeepers. The Nancy Drew books. The Nancy Drew, because I was going to say the Hardy Boys or the 3 Investigators, but no, I think I would have loved to have written the Nancy Drew books, and because she became such an icon for everyone, not just for girls, but she was like one of the first that I can remember in popular culture, the first a girl detective kind of a character, especially that spawned her own, apart from like Miss Marple or whatever else. She was young, and so yeah, I would have liked to have done those.
Well, you actually have in Multiverse Earth 24. You have written that.
Sweet, nice. And then I would have stepped back from books and come up with either Spider-Man or Batman, because
very nice.
Why not?
Okay, final one of the lightning rounds, and it's so easy as always. On Earth 267,
nice.
You are a renowned author of romantic comedy novels, but with that amazing shock twist for the genre, like unbelievable. Can you tell us again the name of the series and what the shock twist was?
Oh, wow. Okay. In this alternate universe where I was the romance author, the book series was called the Amazing Adventures of Lucas Hartwright, and it was basically about a cyborg. He was a guy. He was like 22 years old and very handsome on one side, and then on the other side he was a complete robot. But the difference is he was very handsome from the back of his head, but it was the front of his face that's completely robotic, so very handsome, but you'd never know it. And the twist was it was all in his mind. I had done 85 of these books, and then in the final page, you realize he was daydreaming the whole thing, and it meant that you had an entire population of this alternate world who suddenly sent all of their books back to me, and they hated me, and they burned me at the stake because I just been laughing at them the whole time.
Amazing. Speaking of burning you at the stake, nice segue. I like it. Where's it gone? Is that working? Is that freezing? Is that moving? No.
I can see something.
No. Too early. Let's talk about the final book in the series.
Okay.
Without talking about the final book in the series. So yes. The most important question here is it handed in?
Yeah, it is handed in, and it's signed off on. I read through the final proof, which is essentially the unbound version of the book, and I read through that about 2 weeks ago and sent it off. This book was meant to be shorter than it turned out to be.
Yes.
So I was meant to have finished it around Christmas, but it turned out to be about a few hundred words shorter than the longest book of the series. So it's easily the second biggest book, which sometimes happens. So yeah, but I skimmed close to some deadlines, on the wrong side of them, but I didn't technically miss my deadline. It's just when we realized how big the book was, we decided to push back the publishing date by 2 weeks. Which might have been a problem if I'd have been a bit later, but it's fine.
And did without obviously giving anything away, did it all go according to plan, in the sense that the way you had thought it was going to plan, or is it the thing with writing is that sometimes you think it's going to go one way and something
it's pretty much went according to plan, as much as it could. Phase 1 was 9 books, and when I announced phase 2, it was going to be 9 books as well. But that was predicated because I was writing book 10 while the US, while Donald Trump was running for president, and I was amused, and I thought, this guy is ridiculous, and he's never going to win, but I'm going to write essentially a version of him into my books as if he did win, and like, oh, what a horrible situation that would be. And then he did win, and suddenly the character wasn't so funny. So, but my plot involved him a lot. It involved America a lot. And essentially there were 3 books pretty much revolving around the American aspect of the storyline. So, but when it stopped being amusing, I said, right, I can't do this anymore. So my 9-book plan became 6 books. And so until the end is a kind of a mad scramble, because the last 2 books and until the end are pretty much 6 books crammed into 3, with a lot of the American stuff thrown out and abandoned, and then you grab whatever is left and you try to make sense of it. So to as much as it could be, until the end, is exactly what I wanted it to be, but it's not what it was originally going to be. So but that happens, apparently.
These things happen. So it's handed over. Your publisher's no longer in the bushes outside your house, making sure you're working. Are you going to take a little break now? Are you going to chill out? What's Derek's life going to look like from apart from the touring in April?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I am going. I won't be taking a break. I wanted to, but as it turned out, I can't take a break. The universe doesn't want me to. So I have got various things going on, but in terms of books, I think my next book is going to be something for adults, possibly, because I haven't been able to. My agent has this theory that the more work I do writing books for younger people, every so often she will get a script that I'll have written, and she says it's the most violent, blood-drenched script I've ever read, Derek, and I will keep on sending her these things. And she has a theory. It's because when I'm writing the books for younger people, I have to stop myself from being overly bloodthirsty and violent and horrible and nasty, and I have to be technically kind of nicer, even though some of the things I do to the characters in Skulduggery are just awful. But I haven't been able to do that in book form, so I'm quite looking forward to doing something for older readers in book form, and then come back to the younger readers, because the lovely thing about writing Skulduggery and writing a big long series is that you build up a relationship with these readers, and if I spend too long away, then what's the point of spending all that time building up that relationship, So I think in the future I will write every so often something for adults, but I think I'll always come back to younger readers.
Excellent. Right, and now another one that I love is a thing called story starters, which we started doing, which is basically you proving that anybody can write, and from whatever idea you can write something from. So in your quickest, the clock is on. We've got some sent in from some schools. So it's an opening line, and then you give us the plot. Boom. You ready?
Okay.
Focused. Ready. So first one, and the screen isn't working. Hopefully I have it here on the. Where is it gone?
Oh, technology, Dave.
There we go. So Annabelle from Greenway Primary School. It was in the basement, a fresh body, thick red blood seeping out of its stilled chest.
Good God, Annabelle.
Hey, Wayne, there's a lot of questions I have about these stories. Anyway.
So basically, this is the first
line of the book
in a book, and now I have to come up with the story.
What is happening here now?
Okay, the thing in the basement is a corpse. Obviously, it's a corpse. The story is, even though it's a corpse and even though it's dead, it's still technically alive. So a pair of twins, a brother and sister, they move into this new house. down in the basement is the corpse of the previous owner. So the story then is they and it's an animated, it's like a zombie corpse, but it isn't after them to eat their flesh. It's just horrible and nasty and dark. But they have to befriend it because they have to find out who killed it, and it will not rest until they find the murderer, and the murderer is the postman, probably.
Oh, it's always the postman.
Yeah.
Right. Alf B says, Mr. I think it's Ariane. I couldn't read the writing. Mr. Ariane rapidly plummeted through the air. His scream echoed in the night sky as he glimpsed the dark figure figuring out the ledge before crashing onto the street below.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Okay. I think Mr. Ariane, or whatever his name is, you know what? He's a teacher. He's a teacher. And he's an evil teacher. He's one of those. He's maybe the headmaster of the school. Oh, okay, he's the headmaster of a school, and he is basically brainwashing the students. So a student will be taken out of class and, please report to the principal's office, and he'll go out, and then he'll be taken into a room, and that student will be like bombarded with like brainwashing imagery, and basically there'll be a zombie, essentially, like just a very placid kind of, I'll do whatever I'm told because the principal wants everyone to behave. And this is like the first part of a huge experiment that will take over the city and then the country. And it all starts here in this school. This is the experiment. But they have tried this years ago on a student, and the student broke out, and the experiment unleashed a huge kind of darkness within the student's mind. And so now the student is like 10 years older, 15 years older, and he or she is back to basically stop these experiments. And so they are hunting down the principal and the government who is behind this. Boom. There you go.
There you go. Right, we'll do two more, and then I'm sure Ben's going to come in and headlock us. Right, from Leo M. I kind of like this one from Hallridge, Colesbury. Clash, bang, boom. Why is the Iron Man in my room?
Well, obviously, this is a series of rhyming couplets. So this book rhymes, essentially. And because it is the Iron Man and not Iron Man, it's not actually Iron Man. It's not Tony Stark. It is a man of iron. It's a metal, an iron android kind of figure. I think inhabited by the soul of a kid's long lost uncle. And yes, the uncle is a scientist. He constructed this artificial life form, but the scientist was killed, and so his mind is now inhabiting this body, and and that's how it starts.
That's it. I see Ben lurking in the chat. We time for one more? You want to?
Yeah, one more. Do one more.
I like this one. Derek will appreciate this one. From Megan and Hallridge, Colesbury. One day, Jess had just woken up, and then she went downstairs to the kitchen to clean, make some food for herself, and feed the dog and the cat.
Wow, Megan. That's pretty dark. That is pretty dark.
Someone got to keep an eye on Megan.
Honest to God. Megan, because obviously what Megan had in mind when she was writing this is that Jess then it's make some food for herself, which is fine, and feed the dog and the cat to the canary. So in the cage there's this like tiny little canary but the jaws, like, they just widen, and she throws in the cat, she throws in the dog, she throws in the granny, and the canary is just chomping down, and basically the canary is controlling her mind, and so she has to get all of her neighbors in and her friends, and oh, look at my bird, oh, that's a very nice bird, and then boom, and then eating, boom, canary killer.
So it's called The Fast and the Canary. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Megan, that was a messed up idea. There's something seriously wrong with you.
That was in Megan's mind the whole time.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Listen, we've just crept over our time. What an honour that has been. Honestly, Derek, David, Derek, do you get to the UK much? Do you get to London
You've
area?
got a cat.
That's my cat.
Oh,
This is my tortoise.
God, that's so cute. My cat is asleep under my monitor right now, so I'm very careful to keep my hands away because she does like to grab and bite them. I haven't got to the UK since 2019. It's been wonderful. I haven't got on an airplane in 3 years. It's been great, but I am back on tour in the middle of April for Until the End. So I'll be going around the UK.
I'm gonna have a word with Tina straight after we finished here to see what can be done. Yes. David, will you be joining as well?
I'll be in Derek's suitcase. Don't worry.
He is not allowed physically come within.
I live in
20
here.
feet
This
of
is
you.
where I live. I live in this.
this.
I'm actually in Derek's computer. Help!
Lovely. Listen, guys, this book came out in February. There's obviously one out in April as well, the hardback of the next one. You can get it from our bookshop. It's on special today. You tell your parents. The links have gone, and I know the schools are very nicely circulating that. Every purchase gets a brilliant little badge that Derek made individually, painted each one perfectly. And there will be, dare I say it, a few surprise additions to the purchases, which a little mug.
Mugs.
So I will be adding those into a few of the packets by accident, dare I say it. Guys, thank you so much. Derek, thank you, David. You've both been absolutely outstanding. Apologies.
I think I've been better.
A million questions coming in, and we haven't answered any of them. So, David, that's
too much. That's
your fault. Our next event, we've got Hannah Gold, and not the Last Bear. It's the Lost Whale. We're doing a book tour with her, so she's coming. And there goes my cat. Great stuff. And Derek, you've just got a busy day of work now, haven't you?
Yeah, gotta get back to work.
Nice.
Or I could stay here and talk to everyone in their classes for
you know what, the kids would love that. We'll tell you what I will do. I know they love name checking through the events. I will credit a few people. So Charlie from Horwich and Shrewsbury, Chelsea from Wendover, Hugh from Wendover, Freya from Wendover as well, Anna from Horwich and Shrewsbury.
People from Wendover.
That's right. Wendover, suddenly they're involved in all the events we do. Arwen from Bishop Wood, Betsy from Bishop Wood, Beatrice from Year 5. Don't know where that is. Anyway, thank you all for your questions. Apologies.
Who cares? As long as she's there, everyone's happy.
Exactly. Thanks very much, guys. All have great days, and we will see you very soon. Hopefully we'll have Derek in Tring very soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Cheers.